Today we have the 2023 Roadmaster versus the 2023 Chieftain. All right, I want to tell you the major differences between these two bikes, so if you're looking at them, you'll have, you know, some knowledge going in as to which one might fit you the best. Let's go ahead and cue the intro. Before we start, big thanks to American Biker here in Latson, South Carolina for letting me come out and give you my honest opinion on this motorcycle. If you need something like a used Harley, a new Indian, Ravaco, Slingshot, ATV, whatever, come talk to Rob at American Biker. Again, big thanks to these guys for letting me come out and take a look at this bike. So we have the Roadmaster and the Chieftain Dark Horse, and I'm going to tell you the biggest differences. There's a lot of things on these bikes that are the same, but I want to focus on where that $3,000 difference comes in, and then at the end I'm going to tell you which one of these bikes I like the best and why. Let's go ahead and get right into it. This is a brand new 2023 Chieftain, and like I said, it's been so long. I was doing a video the other day about the best Indians, and I was like, man, I gotta ride a Chieftain again. It's been way too long. First thing we'll talk about is kind of the boring stuff, and then I promise it'll get more exciting later. But let's talk about some of the spec differences here. So on the Chieftain, you have 823 pounds in running order. On the Roadmaster, you are at 890 pounds. The overall length on this bike is 98.7 inches. On the Roadmaster, it's 102. Both of them have 5.5 gallon tanks. This one actually has a 25.6 inch seat height, while that one is at 26.5. Now, that 1 inch, basically 1 inch, is going to make a big difference, which it can in a lot of situations, including this one, because at 5'7", I can't flat foot this bike. I'm tippy-toeing around. Regardless, at 890 pounds, even decked out like it is, it's going to come in about 40 to 50 pounds lighter than a Road Glide Limited. Starting at the front here, they're both rocking Metzler Cruise Tech tires. They both have, of course, ABS, tire pressure monitoring, all that kind of stuff. They have the same fenders, same fairings, all of that. Where it starts to get different in the radio, so you have a 100-watt system in the Chieftain, you have a 200-watt system in the Roadmaster. On the Roadmaster, you also have a taller windshield, so while they're both adjustable, this one is going to do a better job at blocking more air or even allowing that air. So I noticed when I was riding it, pretty much all the way down, I can see right over it, and then all the way up, it's going to block a ton of that air, which in this kind of heat is not a great thing. But again, you have the adjustability on both bikes. This one's just going to be a little bit more sleeker. Also, the lower fairing. So on the Roadmaster, of course, you have that ability to block the air. Now, one thing I talked about on the motorcycle, now one thing you will notice with this one is that you're going to feel more heat on your right side, specifically towards my ankle. Hey, I know that guy. That's my UPS driver. Cool ass dude. But I know that the lowers are, you know, they kind of keep some of that exhaust heat in that little area. Not a huge deal. It's not a ton of heat. These things are going to run cooler than any air-cooled Harley, you know, for the most part from what I've noticed. But still, you will feel that heat. Is that little bit of heat that gets gathered on the right side where the exhaust comes out. You're going to notice that a little bit. I noticed it down on my ankles, even with, you know, 6 or 7 inch shaft boots on. Not a huge deal. I'd rather it be there than on the inside of my thigh. One thing I do notice, I don't know if it's necessarily with the Chieftain or if it's with the 116 Thunderstroke, but you get more vibration up to your feet on these than you do the Challenger. Definitely interesting that you get a, you know, that more vibration. I'd be interested to see like what would happen if you were to put a 108 in this thing, how much it would really smooth out, because that's a all across the rev range. I feel 80, 85. I mean, that thing is just, it's just a lot smoother. But I noticed that you get more vibration out of the Chieftain than you do the Roadmaster. So I rode the Chieftain first. It's been a couple years since I rode one of these. So I was thinking, well, it's probably just a 116 thing. but this one is significantly smoother. And so my only guess as to why that is maybe there's some kind of wind tunnel or something created, which to me would make more sense on the Roadmaster. With those fairings, you would think you would get air kind of like turbulence in there or something that could cause some vibration or something. But whatever it is, and maybe some of you guys know, I get more vibration through my feet on the Chieftain than I do the Roadmaster. We come back, they have the same tank, same motor, same floorboards, except your passenger gets a much better setup pretty much all the way around. Starting with the floorboards on the Chieftain, you got standard pegs for your passenger. If you really love your honey though, you get full floorboards right here for your passenger. Also, her butt is gonna be a lot happier. Although, maybe a lot firmer too, I don't know, because this is a pretty firm seat. It's very premium looking, but again, it's kind of firm, but it's a heated and cooled seat. What's cool is it's got raised buttons for rider and passenger, but you can also adjust that through the screen. See how this cooled seat works. I've had some experience with cooled seats, and typically the heated part of it does really well. The cooled, but it's a hot day. So she's gonna be sitting up, or your passenger's gonna be sitting up a little bit taller as well, because of course the seat's taller. You got more padding there, but again, it's a pretty firm seat. If she's still not happy with those results, well, she should be satisfied with this, because as opposed to nothing on the back there, you have a full wraparound backrest that's attached to the tour pack right here. White stitching, perforated in here because again, it's heated and cooled. So a really nice setup. She's got her own speakers, so you'll be able to listen to your music and all of that. What that equates to is like 18 gallons of storage here on the Chieftain, 36 on the Pursuit. And then of course, like I said, we have the tour pack. Now you're gonna have to kick your honey off of the bike in order to get into this thing. But once you get in here, you can fit 2 full-size helmets. Some helmets, like my Roark, it will not fit in here with another helmet. But Miss Tech Shot's helmet, if we had 2 of those, it would fit. They have little tethers right here, of course. And so you're able to get quite a bit more storage. You got a luggage rack up top. And then of course you're going to get more lighting in the rear because of this. And you got really good LED lighting in the rear. You have the mount right here. So one thing about this whole setup, I like the tour pack. I wish it kind of opened from the side, and I'm not a huge fan of the way it mounts up. But like I said, you get basically double the storage out of this than you will a standard Chieftain. Both bikes also, not only do they have a key fob with keyless ignition, but you can also hit that key fob and it's going to lock both bikes. And then the last thing, you're going to get heated grips on the Pursuit. So with all of that said, you have about $3,000 worth of difference there, which in my opinion is actually a pretty dang good value. One thing I didn't mention either is on those lower fairings, you can open those things up to give you more air, by the way. Both of them have keyless ignition. Both of them, you can lock your bike up with the touch of a button. The biggest thing this came down to for me is the way they ride. This one has much more vibration, and I'm not talking real high speeds because I didn't really take them out on the interstate. This one, 4th gear, 50 miles an hour, you start to really feel that vibration. It's very interesting, whereas on the Roadmaster, you don't get that. So I'd say all in all, man, it just literally came down to the way they ride. I like the Roadmaster better than I do the Chieftain. Again, it's kind of preference. Like, if you don't want the tour pack, if you want more of a stripped down look, more of a custom bagger type of look, this may be the way to go. They both have the same shock setup, the air adjust shock in the rear. You see your ride command right here. Easy to get to with gloves on, standard sport mode. Let's try sport mode. From what I hear, she's sporty. Yeah, sport mode on these things just takes that initial lag out of the throttle. And of course, you know, it feels zippier. Overall, they're very smooth when it comes to the way they ride and the suspension. They're both very agile and nimble for what they are. That one's just a lot smoother and comes with more premium features than this one for $3,000 more. I think that's a really good value in my opinion. I'd love to hear where you're at with it, man. Do you like the Chieftain or the Roadmaster better? If you bought one of these two bikes, which one do you like the best and why? Or why did you choose the one you bought? Love to hear those things, man. If you want to support what we do, make sure you subscribe down below and hit your notifications, or join us on Patreon, or you can join this channel too, man. Big thanks to you guys. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.